All right, welcome to another episode of the WP Crowd. Today we have a part two of our last talk on nonprofit and kind of good work being done with the Give plugin and WordPress. Before we get into anything, as usual, I'm going to start with introductions. So I'm going to start with on my left here with Jesse.
I'm Jesse Peterson. I'm a Genesis developer out of Florida, and I got introduced to GiveWP through a Slack team that I'm in. Everybody said to check it out, and when the fundraising time came in our life, I checked out GoFundMe, and I balked at the fees, so I checked out GiveWP, and that's why I'm on this call now.
Nice. Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark Benzocaine. I'm the operations manager for ServerPress, where we make desktop server. I am apparently also the swag giver outer, I just found out. Um, so I used Give. I actually ran two crowdfunding campaigns. One was in order to build out our attic in order for us to be able to take in foster care children. And for that campaign, I used Tilt. But after meeting Devin Walker at WordCamp Miami last year, and talking to him a bit, I thought I'd give a shot. I like kind of the idea of it being a self-contained system and also having full control, and of course being able to keep all the money that comes our way, which is always nice. So when I was walking my dog, we live in a kind of an urban area, and when I say kind of, I mean in a really urban area, and I was walking our dog, Barcelona. I was walking her through our alley, as I did every day, and there was a car broken down in our alley, and after putting Barcelona up, I went to find out what was going on, and I found a woman and her four small children, all under the age of 5, living in this car back behind our house. And so my wife and I immediately took the children in, and we did a fundraiser to kind of help get her on her feet. So at the beginning of the day, it was just our family. By the end of the day, we had 4 extra kids in our house, and one of which was less than a month old. And by the way, when we got him, he was actually a full pound less at being a month old than he was at his birth weight. So he was terribly undernourished. And by the end of the day, I had our website 2to5.us, where I blog about our foster care experiences and other things. I had that up with a Give campaign and raising money to help this woman, and we raised about $5,000 in just a couple of days, which really helped her out a lot.
Awesome. Nick.
All right. So I'm Nick Adams. I run Revolve Media. What I do with Give is I do custom development, so building custom extensions for people who come to the Give team uh, wondering what can be added onto it, and sometimes that has to be custom developed. So they send it out to me, and it's been really awesome to get involved in Give and see what people are doing with it.
Cool. And last but not least, Shelly.
Hi, I'm in Middle Tennessee. I'm Shelly Peacock, and I'm a WordPress consultant and builder. That's my new term. And have had a couple of projects in the last couple of months that we have used Give for, and it is absolutely spectacular. So can't wait to talk about that.
And as usual, I'm Royce Yvonn. I'm a WordPress developer for Disney, and I just started using Give for the first time. So this week, the WP crowd announced that we are going to start giving out plugins for free. So some of the normal crowd members that you see on our show will be developing out. As we develop out plugins, we will be putting them on our website completely for free to use. And part of that is, we ask for support for not just those plugins, but obviously running the show and doing some other stuff, and we have some other things up our sleeves. So this week was the first time I actually installed Give on a site and actually, set it up. It was very, very easy. But my story is not one that can compare to Jesse and Mark. So I'm going to start with Jesse here. Or Mark, you kind of went into your story already, so let's just continue with yours. You started out talking about how you found this woman and stuff like that. So why don't you just continue from there, and how did you get, like, let's just go to the point where you set up the website and started to, collect money with Give.
Well, I had already had a website up and running. My wife and I moved. We live in Milwaukee, and we purposely moved to an urban area in a big home because there's a bit of a backstory which I could take the whole hour up. I'll try to keep it short. But my wife grew up in foster care and aged out, and she was taken out of her home at a young age and separated from her brother. And so our goal when we moved to Milwaukee was to buy a house that was big enough that we'd have bedrooms that we could take in sibling groups of foster care. Now these are usually referred to as difficult or challenging foster situations because most of the time when people get into foster care, parents aren't able to take in sibling groups. So our whole goal was to take in these siblings so they wouldn't be separated not only from their parents, but they'd also be separated from their brothers or sisters. So that's enough to drive any kid nuts, I would think. And so we decided that that was going to be kind of our mission in life. And since my wife had been through it, she got to experience it firsthand. So having said that, we had already taken in a set of 3 brothers a year before. And when that happened, it also happened very quickly, and I started blogging about the experience on the website. And from there, like I said, it was a year later. We had decided we were going to build out the attic to build 4 bedrooms and 2 baths so that we could take more kids in. And because we're in a historic home, it's a little bit more expensive than to do things to code and by historic requirements. And so we did a campaign, like I said, on Tilt. And I chose Tilt at the time because it was closely associated with the WordPress community. And Give was it hadn't quite gotten its legs under it yet. I was aware of it, but it just didn't seem to do, it was kind of in its early stages. And then, like I said, I met Devin Walker last year and talked to him for probably a good hour about Give, and I promised him, I said, for the next campaign, I'm going to try Give and give it a shot. Now, what I'll tell you is that my concerns about using Give, I'm going to start with the negative first, and then I'm going to tell you that all those things were unfounded. But when I originally started with Give, what I liked about things like GoFundMe or Tilt or whatever is that they already had exposure. It was a venue through which the rest of the world already knew it existed, and my hope was that it would drive more traffic and obviously drive in more money as a result. But what I found is, and this is a testament to both the plugin and to the WordPress community, is that when this woman was found homeless, and we immediately sprung into action. And at first, it started out with, we need $3,000, and then we cleaned through her car, which had broken down, and discovered all kinds of bills. And by the time we were done, we needed, I'm trying to remember, but I think we needed about $5,500 by the time all was said and done to actually get her kind of caught up on her bills, get her car fixed, and some various things. And so I thought, well, I'll give it a shot. And so that night I sat down and downloaded the plugin, and I literally in under an hour had it set up. It was really easy, and I don't remember exactly the timeline, but we had $3,000 raised within just a very short period of time, and we ended up, I think, topping out at about $5,000 when we were done, which left just enough room so that Jessica, my wife, and I could also pitch in some money to help out. And we also ended up with the 4 children that were living in the back seat of her car. We ended up with them living with us for a month. And the baby, the infant, is still with us, and he's now 7 months old. And the two things I'll say about the Give plugin was it was super easy to configure. I did not go into a lot of complications. I just set it up with the PayPal capabilities, so it basically worked right out of the box. And then, of course, I ran into one small technical glitch, and I emailed the Give people, and I think within 10 minutes they had a patch for me on it. So it was pretty awesome, and working with them has always been good anyway. So I highly recommend it.
Very awesome. Yeah, if anyone's following our Twitter, every time, and I've heard the story a couple times, all I can say is that we are not worthy. That was probably one of the most awe-inspiring and greatest stories I've heard in quite a while, especially because, because you're part of the WordPress community, and I feel like, we know each other and stuff like that, and to know that someone I know went through that and did that for someone, I was like, wow, every single time now I get a desktop server swag item, it's just that much more of a special moment.
Well, I appreciate it. So every time anyone buys desktop server, just keep in mind you're helping to feed these kids. Okay, that's my plug.
All right. So before we go over to Jesse, someone joined. Matt joined, so I'm gonna let him do his intro, but because he was late. So, Matt. No, Matt. All right, Matt's gonna listen in and be part of our conversation. So, same thing. Let's turn it over to Jesse. Jesse, you also had a pretty profound experience recently, and I think now you're going through round 2. But you had a pretty awesome experience, and then again had to start using the Give plugin for that. So why don't you tell us about your story and what happened, and up to the point of installing Give and how it helped you out?
All right. So the backstory is we've been foster parents going on about 5 years now. We adopted our second placement last May, and we decided that we weren't going to take any public foster care placements anymore for a while to get him acclimated as our only child and make him feel as part of the family for permanent. And we were just doing infant adoption, foster placement for kids who are about to be adopted. So they're usually 1 to 2 weeks. We were on our way back from Texas from a family wedding, and we get a call from one of those agencies, and they say he's still in the hospital. When he gets out, can you have him for 2 weeks? So we're like, well, we just getting back from vacation. We kind of like to sleep through the night, but sure. So we get back, took a week for him to get out of the hospital. That 2 weeks passed, and their court experience didn't go in their favor, and they said, well, can you keep him until January? This is the end of October. So we said, well, it's really going to cramp our style for Thanksgiving and Christmas, but okay. So we got excited about it, and we had him for those 2 months. Fell completely in love with him. The night we got him, I started looking up geek names. He had bright red hair, and I thought he looked kind of smart and geeky, so I named him Parker, like Peter Parker. So if we don't change that, he's going to be the initials PP, which the women in the family are not very happy about, but we might have to change that. So January comes around, and the end of December saw me go to the ER with some tachycardia issues, and the beginning of January saw me in the hospital getting a catheterization to fix that. While I'm in prep, we're getting an email about the adoptive parents have dropped out by now, and they're giving us some updated information. That email comes in, and they say, yeah, we can give you a few days, and you're going to have to pay $10,000 to pay for legal fees because the birth father has contested the case. And we need it kind of like by next Wednesday, and this was surgery on Wednesday. So they gave us a week to raise $10,000. And that's Friday night. We had decided we did want to go ahead and have 2 kids, because at this point we get to decide how many people do you want to have in your family. This was a life-changing decision at this point. Can we do this? Do we want to? Is this okay for our other son. We go for it. I already had DigitalOcean set up. I spun up another app using Server Pilot and downloaded Give, wrote a couple of posts, got SSL set up, bought the Stripe extension, connected all that stuff up in an evening. I did it basically from 8 to midnight. About half of my time was spent trying to figure out why the let'sencrypt.org SSL wasn't working. I got that sorted out. So it's very simple to set up. We posted about 1:30 p.m. Eastern on a Saturday. I went to bed about 10 or 11 o'clock completely excited about how the day had gone because we had about $8,000 raised. The WordPress community, family, friends all threw in. We had almost enough right away to do it. By the time we ended the campaign on that day, we had, I want to say, $12,700. So that paid for some birth mothers' fees that came in this month. So we had accounted for that, and we're ready for phase 2. The legal proceedings are going well. They expect the adoption to go through. They told us to kick open phase 2, which is significant at $22,500. And we're already up, I think, at 2,000, something like that, 1,800.
What's the website if someone wants to donate?
I was very surprised to see that surpriseadoption.com was available that night, and I snapped it up in an instant. So surpriseadoption.com.
That's an awesome domain name because it is a surprise adoption, and that's a good. So you already went through round 1. You got that covered, and then some. So when did you open up round 2?
This week.
Just
2-3 days ago.
Cool. All right, before we get into more of like the details, because I'm sure other people might have some issues with the SSL, so maybe we can get into that in a minute here. I'm going to turn it back to Matt, who hopefully has his mic working, to do an intro and talk about who you are. Yeah, no, your mic doesn't work, Matt. You fail. So let's not talk to Matt.
Let's start a Give campaign for Matt to get a new mic.
Yes.
I agree, or maybe a new computer.
Yeah.
A new ISP.
I think that's what we need to do. All right, so let's talk about using Give as a plugin. So we've heard two really good stories about using it and like why to use it. Although I guess I gave you a reason to use it too for what we're using it for, but definitely not on par with the other 2 stories. So have you guys had any difficulties with it? Jesse, I know you said the SSL, but I'm going to turn it over to Nick and Shelly. You guys have been doing consulting with it and kind of helping out clients. Shelly, you just launched a website with it this week. I think you said Wednesday. Have you run into any issues using Give? Any pain points, and then how did you overcome them?
Actually, we also had an SSL issue, but it was from something latent back with the hosting, so it didn't have anything to do with the Give plugin. Actually, I had a little bit of help from the Give staff, Devin, who was phenomenal, but we were on such a time crunch because this particular nonprofit has just partnered with the Tim Tebow Foundation. And I was in Miami, got back late Monday night, so I literally had 24 hours to get it switched over and turned on. And by the time we got all that stuff, the glitch with the SSL and all that stuff figured out, then by the time we moved it over, I was just racing against everything to get to that 3 o'clock deadline. And it turns out that they didn't even really mention the name of the site, so it was all a big rush for nothing. But the great thing is he has put it out to a few people and is already seeing donations just because of the ease of the actual plug-in front-facing itself. It's incredible. And We set it up. I already had the SSL configured by that time, but we set it up literally in about an hour. And one thing that I want to mention that was my Easter egg from that Give plugin is I was writing a post, and I guess at some point we're going to talk about where to put the forms. But I was writing a post, and I wanted to put the shortcode in, but it was actually on a form, and then we were adding recurring donations at the bottom, so we weren't combining them together. And so I was sitting there going, my thought process was, okay, I'm going to wrap it in a button. Well, when I went to, so I wrote click here and then highlighted, did all that. And I went to add the link. And you know how you get that content drop-down box? The form was there. The recurring form was there in the content drop-down, which I've never seen a form show up in content drop-down by itself. So I just clicked that, wrap the button. It's freaking phenomenal.
So like when you had added a link to the word in the WYSIWYG or the text editor,
Yes.
the Give W, instead of like, here's the posts and pages, there's also forms. Awesome. I did not know notice that when I was playing with it.
By that detail. So congrats, Matt. That was awesome.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that. That is a good piece. And I wanted to talk about placement, but I wanted to swing back over to Jesse really quick. How did you solve your SSL issue, or what was it, and how did you get over it?
Something to be aware of when you're using Cloudflare, actually. I was using the Cloudflare server, and when I was trying to generate the certificate on the domain, it was not seeing the IP address for the domain that was where the droplet was, and I spent a good hour trying to figure all that stuff out, and it actually took me quite a while to even find out that it was the wrong IP address. And then I just decided to go to Cloudflare and look at what was going on. I had the right IP address in there, but when I bypassed Cloudflare servers, that was when it sees the right one. So apparently going through Cloudflare was catching the IP address. And that was where it was generating the issue. So you got to bypass first, generate the certificate, and then you should be good to go. Because after that point, the certificate goes off of the domain name.
That's a good tip, because a lot of people I know do like using Cloudflare for various reasons. I think they also do CDN, right? So SSL is also another really popular service of theirs. So definitely a good top tip. Nick, I know that you do some customization and some extensions. So if for whatever reason you need to extend out some of the functionality, does Give make it easy to add in stuff?
Give does that amazingly, really. They've done a great job of making it extensible with all sorts of hooks and actions that really you can just write custom plugins. I mean, at this point, I've probably done like 10 custom extension plugins for it, and I mean, it only takes a couple hours for even the more advanced ones, because they've already written a lot of it out.
Can you give us an example of something you? Sorry, can you give us an example of something you had to customize or like build out as a custom functionality?
So one of them just recently was somebody was looking to have a front end list of their donations. So like they wanted like a listing of everyone who had donated, how much they had donated. And so that was one I did. Very easy. I mean, they've already, got everything you need in there to query that. Another one I've done is like a custom listing of all of the donation, because some of people use multiple donation forms, and it's awesome. And so like there's one that was really cool that was just using the featured image, and so it's going across and it's just boxes, but an easy way to make it usable so that it automatically automatically gets you to your list of them. So they've done great with the archives, a lot of extensibility there, and so that one feature, as somebody noted, is pretty much exactly a takeoff of GoFundMe. It's not an exact copy, I don't know if they have it copyrighted somehow, but it's not. It was just someone wanted that. But there's a whole bunch of things you can do. It's just so done. Yeah, so well done and so well coded that working with it is wonderful.
Awesome. So the big question we got from the last episode, and wanted to bring this up with our two, or the people that we have on right now, is where do you guys put your forms? So we talked about it during our first episode about nonprofits, and we kind of talked about where do you want it. And it was a whole thing based on depends on the kind of website you're going after. So let's start with Mark. Where did you find was the best place to put it for you? And obviously you succeeded in your campaign. So where did you place it, and did you feel like that was the best place to put it?
I actually had it in two places. I placed it at the end. Anytime I was talking or giving an update in the post itself, I would put the form right there on the post. And that was actually what drew, of course, the biggest response, because people would go there, read the post, and of course the post was not only to give an update, but it was also kind of an ask for more money. And then the other place that I still have it on the side of my website, is in the sidebar, in the right-hand sidebar, and I do get some people every now and then that still donate, because what happened was the Tilt campaign on the Attic Fund raised, I think it was about $7,000 or $8,000, and so we of course paid the rest of it, and so I still have but I moved the Attic fundraiser part over to the 2to5.us website. And put that just in the sidebar, and so I do still get some money from that from time to time, and I'm about ready to, now that Give has the recurring payments plugin available, or extension for it, I think I'm going to be adding that sometime soon as well, and we'll see how that goes.
So just to recap, what's your website? So someone is watching and they
it's 2to5.us, and so it's TWOTOFIVE.us, and the reason I named it that is because, as I mentioned, we brought in these 3 boys, and so we immediately went in overnight from having 2 children to 5 children within a 24-hour period, and so I thought 2to5.us would be appropriate.
Cool.
And now we've been as many as 9, so I decided I'm not going to keep changing the domain name. I'll just leave it at 2to5.
Just make it 2to N.
Yeah, exactly.
How about you, Jesse? Where did you place your gift form, and do you feel like that was the best placement for you? And obviously it worked. So
everyone's welcome to go look right now and see. I've got it. I'm using No Sidebar Pro from Brian Gardner. It's a Genesis child theme that he created, and I put it in just below the header in a widget and put some custom text in there, and I also put it in the below post widget on every post. So anything that they read, it's got the current fundraising campaign in there. So I had phase 1 live the whole time we were doing that, and then I left it up in case anybody came by, and then I swapped it out for phase 2 when I wrote the update. So if you're actually reading the original story about Parker, you see the new campaign. So I think it works out really well that way. There is no sidebar. It goes by its name, so it's a matter of getting to the bottom of the post or being on the homepage. Open to suggestions if anybody has any, but it's been working.
yeah, very cool. So while we wrap up here, I'm hoping Matt finally got his mic issues sorted out. Matt, are you there?
I am. Everybody hear me?
Yes.
Hey,
Hallelujah.
So,
It's a miracle. It's a Christmas miracle early.
yes.
see how fast that Give campaign worked?
Yeah, it works. Another success story. Matt,
Tell us your story, Matt.
why don't you do a quick intro, and then I know you wanted to share some of the other Give stories, because you're the Give guy.
Yeah, so I'm Matt Cromwell from WordPress, and I'm head of support for WordPress and Give. And I really just wanted to be here just to hear Jesse and Mark talk because I just absolutely love their stories. I also absolutely love what Shelly is doing right now with Give, and I really have appreciated Nick because we've basically sent off a ton of work over to Nick trying to help Give customers to do some fun custom things like he was talking about earlier. So getting all these people on the same hangout's been totally awesome, and to me, the whole Give Stories thing that we've been doing on our website and doing because of the cool stuff that's happening is basically one of my most favorite things in WordPress. Just the fact that I've been able to be part of this project and to see a plugin that we're doing do so much good in the world has been absolutely, absolutely my favorite thing in WordPress right now. And so I love what you guys are doing, and I think it's awesome. We have a couple other really cool Give stories on the website. If you go over to givewp.com, and you'll see in the navigation where you can get there. It's under the About menu. And we just published one that's really fun. It's actually from a curling club that wanted to build out a new basically a new facility for themselves because they were sharing with a hockey team, and curling is very different from hockey, and the field is different. So they're like, we need our own facility, and a facility costs a lot of money, and they were able to raise already almost $100,000 with Give, which I just think is amazing. And we have another story of a young guy named Trace Cook who is trying to compete in skiing competitions, and he's going on a world tour, and he's competing against guys who have a lot of money in their pocket. They're professionals, they've been doing it a long time, and he's a young kid, and he's really talented, and he's like, I don't want the money to hold me back from my dreams of competing in this sport that I'm really good at. So he put together a quick campaign, and he's doing it. He's making it happen. So these are all big successes that we're really, really amazed by, and we're really thankful for. So
Awesome.
That's me. I'm out.
And what was the Give WP? And then is there a link right there on the homepage where if someone wants to see what some of these stories are?
Yeah. If you go to the About page, or you go to the menu, the About menu, you'll see several different categories of our blog, and you'll see one link there that says Give Stories, and that's a category page. And so the URL is a little bit long. We should probably shorten that, but just navigate from the About menu, basically.
Awesome. I think that about wraps it up. Man, Jesse and Mark, I really thank you for your time. Hearing your stories the first time through social media and stuff was definitely a profound moment. It was just, oh my God, I can't believe these guys are doing these things. People I've met at WordCamps and stuff. To hear it again and to see that you guys are doing well, and that, I guess as much as I love WordPress and a lot of people are doing great things with WordPress, it is nice to see that, you guys are taking, a simple plugin. I'll say simple because I don't want to demean Devin, but a great plugin, and putting it on a WordPress site and being able to do a lot with it from a social point of view. We hear a lot about what people are doing, in development realms with the, API is talked about a lot right now, development realm, and as from the consulting point of view. But it's nice to see that people that are, part of our community are also doing a lot of social stuff, and whether it's for yourself or for, obviously people that need it and you want to help out. So if you are watching or you live right now or you watch it later, feel free to check out GiveWP's website. Obviously, check them out. They're a free plugin to use off the bat. If you wanted to, start a campaign for yourself for whatever it is you need, and then what was I going to say? So there's that, and and check out their website for other stories. I'm going to post a link on our Twitter, so you can go ahead and check out what other people are doing with it. Thank you guys very much for joining, and I will see you guys next week.
Thank you so much for having me.